Hello, and welcome back to another coaching vid where we are going to talk about a very interesting jungler named Fiddlesticks. Fiddlesticks is a crazy teamfight champion and is one of the most unique champions when it comes down to his jungle clear and how he plays the early game. This champ is pretty useless pre-level 6. His 1v1 capabilities is heavily hindered on his basic abilities, not having a lot of damage compared to a lot of other junglers. But after level 6, this champ can become an absolute beast. Fiddle is one of those champions that love to hide from you and keep you second guessing on everywhere you go. Because if you don't, you will probably get wiped. So how can we get level 6 fast, and how can this champion have one of the fastest jungle clears ever? Let's first talk about Fiddle's first clear. Since Fiddlestick's abilities are so unique, his jungle clear is extremely healthy and fast when done properly. You can usually finish a clear around 304, which is insane compared to many other junglers that finish their jungle around 320 and 330. Okay, but this is not easy to perform. Let's go over the clear. So start W and then go Raptors. W the Raptors, and after W finishes, auto the big Raptor 3 times as you kite towards your red buff. W again, and auto the big Raptor 2 more times and take a small pause, and then move to your red buff. W both the red and the big Raptor. Auto the red buff 1 time and move towards the bush next to the Krugs. You should get as close as possible behind the wall, and W smite the big Krug. Wait a bit, then auto the red while walking towards the Krugs. Then auto the big Krug and W all 3 monsters. Finish the red buff to your best abilities. Do not get Q here, you want to get your second level for W. W the wolf camp, then auto the big wolf 2 times. W again and head towards blue. The blue buff and W both the big wolf and the blue buff. Auto the blue buff 3 times while counting down or up dependent on which side of the map you're on. W again, auto the blue buff 1 more time, then the Gromp and auto the blue once more. And W both the Gromp and the blue buff. Auto the Gromp 1 time, then move into its aggro circle. Auto it again and W. Clear the Gromp to your best of your abilities. That was a lot of steps to finish this clear, but it brings great benefits. If you want to master this champion, you need to master his clear potential. Because he clears so fast, Fiddle can do one of 2 things. Go for a gank and maybe get a kill with no counter gank, or back and run to the opposite side of the map to get Scuttle. This can depend on what side of the enemy starts their clear. If they started the same side as you, I recommend not fighting for the Scuttle on the same side. Instead, this recall can perfectly set you up to buy your boots and a book, and the Scuttle will spawn as you are walking to the other Scuttle the enemy didn't take. After that, you would finish your second clear, and once you finish it, you need 1 more camp or objective to hit level 6. You can either go for the Grubs, Dragon, or take another recall and do your clear once more. Grubs and Dragon are a little riskier as the enemy can collapse on you and kill you, but clearing one of these can heavily benefit your tempo. After you take one of these objectives, you will have another perfect back to complete your boots and have Faded Ashes. Now you are a Fiddle with his ultimate ability and the items to deal massive damage to any location you gank. Tempo, by the way, is an important concept we will go over heavily in another video, but for now, a simple explanation of tempo is something you can gain or lose depending on what you do. A jungler with a good tempo will usually have all their camps down until they do a gank, as a gank loses tempo for you as your guaranteed gold is sitting and waiting for you and can be stolen by the enemy jungler. So getting camps gives you tempo and doing ganks loses you tempo. But anyways, if you are starting to play Fiddle, let's define some rules and tips that can really benefit your gameplay. The first tip is to work on your first jungle clear. His jungle clear is so goddamn specific, and perfecting it can help you create amazing tempo and let you get to where you want to be, which is hitting level 6. I'll leave a video in the description of a YouTuber who explains the jungle clear as he is doing it if you ever need a refresher or a guide. Tip number 2 is a rule: do not gank before level 6, unless it is a guaranteed kill. Look, as I said, Fiddle is not a real champion until level 6, and his power is heavily dependent on if he has ult or not. The best decision is to usually play safe and farm until you hit level 6, because the more deterrence you have, the less likely you will hit level 6 at a good time. Tip number 3 is that Faded Ashes is OP early on. Faded Ashes provides that ticky damage to enemies when you damage them and is a constant rate. This not only speeds up your jungle clear, which creates better tempo, but also allows you to do a bunch of damage early, as HP bars are still extremely low in the early game, so try to pick this up as soon as you finish your boots. And the last tip is that ult fear works as long as they don't have vision of you. Some people get confused on how this exactly works. You don't need to be in a bush when you ult. The only thing that needs to happen is that the enemy needs to not have vision of you, and a good tell to see if they do or not is if they have this ring around them, signifying that if you ult them, they will be feared by your ult. A good tip is to usually keep one effigy on you at all times so you can spawn it to create a field of no vision for the enemy and always be able to get a good ult out. Anyways, that is all I have for this beginner guide for Fiddle. He has a lot of potential, but only if you play him right. It can be a fun mix-up for your champ pool. I hope you enjoy this video, and if you haven't already, please consider liking this video and subscribing. I hope you had a happy new year, and I hope your climbing is going well.